The king sipped his chocolate and shuffled over to the window, raising his astrolabe to the heavens hastily. He was forced to put it down again as a large cloud passed overhead and sealed the heavens from the king's questioning gaze. And in a mood of uncertainty, the king went to bed. But as the king slept, the clouded heavens and the endlessly spinning universe continued to revolve over a single point that was his tiny castle. The air became thick and damp as a creeping mist swept across the island. Sometime during the night, the mist turned into a downy white fog, and it was during this time that the king slept a fitful sleep and was visited by a terrible dream of infinity. The king looked and looked and looked, but he could not find it. Where was it? Where could it have gone? The king turned over every stone, looked beneath every rock, and searched every inch of his kingdom until every inch of his kingdom was revealed. But he could still not find it. The king asked every person he had ever known, but none could say. In his exasperation, he had talked to every wise man, every sorcerer, every sage, witch, wizard, bishop, and town crier, but none could tell him. Finally, the king sat down on a stone and began to lament. He lamented everything he had ever said, and he lamented everything that he had ever done. He lamented his birth, and then a moment later, he lamented his death, though he was not dead. He lamented everything he had ever knew, and he lamented everything that there was left to be known, and still he lamented. Then he lamented everything he could not think to lament, and still he was not satisfied. Finding nothing else to do, he turned and kicked a rock with all his strength. The king started walking. He walked until he came to the end of his kingdom. And finding nothing better to do, he walked back to the place from where he began. Then he waited. Finding nothing better to do, he started walking again. This time he walked back and forth until he was certain that he had walked over every single inch of his kingdom. But still he was not satisfied. Finally, having nothing better to do, he started walking in circles. He walked and walked and walked until he fainted from exhaustion. When he woke, there was a small child staring at him, and he waited to see what the child would do. The child waited. Finally, having nothing better to do, the king asked the child why it was there. I'm waiting, said the child. What are you waiting for? Asked the king. I don't know, said the child. That is why I am waiting. But you need to do something, said the king. You can't just sit there and do nothing. Time is short. Do something. If you tell me what to do, then I will do it, said the child. But if you do not tell me what to do, I will have to wait. Wait for me, said the king, and then he ran away as fast as he could. This time the king was even more intent on finding what he was looking for. He could not remember what it was. It was important only to find it. He retraced every step that he had ever stepped and every inch of land that he had ever searched in case he had missed it. But it could not be found. Finally, the king had to accept the fact that what he was looking for was not in his kingdom any longer. But where could it have gone? It had escaped his kingdom. Having nothing better to do, the king decided to leave his kingdom. The king thought and thought, but he could not remember how to get out of his own kingdom, so large had it become. Finally, he had to accept the fact that he was trapped. Finding nothing to kick, the king let out a terrible cry that penetrated every inch of his kingdom, and every creature, great and small, feared for the king. The king was tired and exhausted unto death, and he decided to go back home, and maybe then he could remember what it was he was looking for. After a single step, the king stopped. He couldn't remember how to get home. His kingdom was all around him. But where was his home? The first person the king came to was a simpleton. After asking the simpleton where his home was, the king waited for a reply. You must retrace every step and undo every action to get back to your home, said the simpleton. Your home has been buried beneath the weight of your life. Surely the simpleton was much too simple to know anything for sure, the king decided. Then he started walking again until he met a man on the road selling potatoes. You're going in the wrong direction, said the man, scratching his beard. Home is a tricky place to find, you know. One moment it is all around you, and the next moment it is gone. Gone? Asked the king. Every step that one makes takes one further and further from home until home is lost into infinity. Forget about it, said the man. If you want my advice, never call the place your home. And with that, the man offered the king a potato. Every single person the king met was a simpleton. The king wondered what had happened to his home. None of the people he met recognized him. They all had heard tales about a king that had ruled in ancient times. But that was long ago. The king wandered and wandered for many years. His face became hardened by the wind, and a long beard covered his once beautiful face. He was now worn and walked with a slight limp as he bent his back to the wind. The birds landed on his arm and spoke to him in a language that he had come to know. The king wandered and wandered until he forgot that he was once a king. And there came a day when he stopped along a road to take a rest. Squinting through his failing eyesight, the king saw a child standing next to him. What kind of a world was it where children were abandoned in the road? The king looked long and hard at the boy. The boy smiled. "Are you lost?" asked the king. "I am waiting," answered the boy. "For what?" said the king. "I have been waiting for you," said the boy. "I have been waiting to take you home." The king woke with a start. He was sweating profusely and his body was slick with perspiration. Throwing the covers off his body, he set his feet on the cold floor and got out of bed. Then he went to the window and opened the shutter. A cold wind blew into his face.